Part 2 of the fish cleaning video. This here is a nice St. Johns River black drum. We're going to be filleting these today for one of my favorite grill recipes, which is called redfish on the half shell, but we're going to be using black drum. So we're actually going to be leaving the skin on these, and we're going to be keeping the main part of the fillet meat. There is some meat down here in the bottom of the ribs, which when you're baking it or if you're frying it, you can it takes a little time to get that, but you can get it. I'm going to actually show you how to do it without taking that little piece of rib meat that's right here, because the belly meat, the rib meat, there's just not a whole ton there. Now, one thing about black drum, and this goes for sheephead and porgies as well, is they're very thick in the skin. They got very thick scales. If you were to scale this, they're real big scales. One area that they're very, very vulnerable is right up here at the dorsal fins. In fact, sheephead, because they actually can lay these dorsals down, have a little pocket there. But my trick is, if you take your fillet knife and you come right between two of these dorsal fins, that skin there is very, very sensitive. It's very thin. Okay, so you can get your fillet knife in there really easily, and then just come right up towards the head, and you'll find there's some bone up here, and you come right up to that bone, just like that. Okay, then what you do, another soft spot on their skin is right behind this fin here. It's very soft right here. So you come in there and you just cut your way up and follow that bone until you get up here. Okay, then you actually have a fillet, and you can start taking your knife, and just like we did with the flounder, you lay it flat down and you just let these ribs kind of give you a guide to work it down. Okay, now once you've worked it down, you can push your knife and it'll come right out where the waist comes out, and then just with a nice gentle motion you can feel those the spines, and you can follow it right down. Then what you're going to do is, again, you're going to keep your knife nice and low, and you're going to come all the way till you're at the top here. Okay, now here's a great trick that Captain Kirk Waltz showed me. Once you're done this part, don't take this fillet off of here. Flip this fish over and let's get the fillet off the other side, because what this fillet does is it gives the fish a good contour. It doesn't concave it and lay it flat on the cutting board, making it hard to cut. You'll notice I've grabbed some scales on there. I'm just going to clean that off. I'm going to grab my handheld sharpener and give it just a couple whacks. A sharp knife is essential, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come in right by the fins. I'm going to slide up to the head, just like that. I'm going to come in behind the pectoral fin there, cut up around the ear bone there, right up to the top, and then I'm going to start laying this fillet out just by using my knife and running on down that hole that I've already created, coming right down those ribs and separating the meat from the spine by running back up in a nice clean line. Now once I've got it this far, again, we're going to come back out to where the waist comes out, point that knife down just ever so slightly, and it'll come right straight out through the tail. Then what we're going to do is we're going to just let the knife do the work. The knife will find the meat and separate it from the rib. Okay? Then what we're going to do is we're going to take this fish and we're going to turn it around, and we're just going to start following those ribs on out. Okay? And you're going to get to a point where you've come out of your fillet, and at that point you can just poke through, cut on down, and cut on up, and you've got the full fillet off the fish. Now again, there is a little bit of meat here in the belly, but for this little bit of meat, I generally don't worry about it. And then I'm going to do the same exact thing on the other side. I'm going to find these ribs. I'm going to run a nice little line down through these ribs. And once I've got all the meat nice and separated off the ribs and I can see the skin, I'm going to poke it through, come up, and come down. And right there again, if you look at this fillet, you can see that there is not very much left on that fish for there to be waste. You want to take your time and make sure you're getting nice fillets. Now with these, I'll feel around, like I've got a bone right there. I'll trim that out. I'll trim this up a little bit. But essentially, you've got exactly what you want right here. And that's going to be perfect for the for the black drum on the half shell. I did leave a little bit of skin there. I'm going to come down through here. It's a little tough, but you can cut it out. And I left a little bit here. I'd rather leave a little bit on than leave it on the fish. Trim that tail nice and tight. Now, an important thing when you're storing this fish before you cook it, there is still some scales and some loose stuff on this back side. So put your fillets face to face so that you don't have one that's collecting scales from the other. And then we'll have another segment of our Kirby Co. cooking tip of the week where we do some black drum on the half shell.